Hey now, how it do today? And Kmar here with a very special edition of Lurking with Attitude today. It's the 10/16 episode in homage of Bob Weir's birthday. Happy birthday,
Woo!
Bob.
Yeah, Bob. Can't forget John.
No, we will not forget John, because it is also John Mayer's birthday. And with me today is Nick from Full Moon Farms.
How y'all doing?
I can't tell you how humble and blessed I am to have you here with us in the studio today, and what a great time to meet. And we've been connected through Instagram and looking at some of your Grateful Dead posts with trips to the Sweetwater and New Year's and so on and so forth. But then that got me following your farm and finding out about your exciting lifestyle branding. What is this adventure club that's going on at Full Moon Farms? I cannot wait to hear all of this information.
So we don't even know.
Please welcome Nick from Full Moon Farms.
All right, how's it going, everybody? And thanks for having me, man. It's been a long time coming. Sorry we couldn't get you in the field. Everybody knows we had a lot of fires here in Humboldt County. We were going to do this episode live from one of the gardens and have some plants as a backdrop and some fresh flowers hanging out. But fortunately, the fires ruined our schedule, and we're into harvest time. So I'm up here in Freshwater now and at the home office.
Well, thanks for being here. You know, I mean, I was so humble that you were going to let me do a farm tour, and I think the timing will be better to do it next season. You've even got more than one location?
Yeah, we do. We have 3 farms.
You were kind enough to bring me some cannabis from your farm. What do we have here?
That's our first round light dep Northern Berry, and you know, we've been running this stuff for years. It's a win. We took down a golden tarp with it back 2016. Love the nose on it. You know, we were originally told it was you know, the classic Northern Lights and DJ Short Blueberry. We had it tested through Phylos when Phylos was first doing their genetic testing, and it came back twice as an absolute anomaly. They couldn't find any related parents to it. They couldn't, so it's
amazing.
It's definitely a unique profile, especially when smoked. Every harvest, the nose, absolutely, yeah, the nose changes every harvest. The color changes, the structures change a little bit. It's a really beautiful plant. It's an early strain. You know, most of the time 6 weeks to harvest. You can plant them close together. It's pretty easy to take care of.
Wow.
But I still can't get through a whole joint of it. I don't know if I'm just, you know, being weak sauce, but it's super heady. It's a couch lock.
Okay.
You know?
Well, we'll see what happens here.
Okay.
Let's see. I am amazed because one of my favorite strains from back in the day was NL5, Northern Lights 5. I don't know why it was number 5 or whatnot, but it was definitely Northern Lights. I haven't heard that come up in rotation for decades, like at least 20 years or so, and this is exciting for me.
Well, you know, Northern Lights is one of those classic strains. It's one of those base strains that so many genetics today, you know, started from. You know, and I'm really hoping that you know, the heritage of a lot of these heirloom strains don't get lost, because everybody's so into crossbreeding, and there's very few like keepers of the classic genetics.
I understand that. When I asked one of my in-studio guests, Matt McCosco, about his preference for indica and sativa, he said that there's just such a cross hybrid any longer that those actual true genetics have more often than not changed.
They have, and we were lucky to get some true landrace lambs bred from Nat up at the Humboldt Seed Company. You know, he makes his pilgrimages down to Jamaica and does a little strain hunting and his collaborations down there, and we were blessed to get some of those seeds from him. And we had some friends over at Ray's Cannabis out in Blocksburg who ran that last year, and oh my gosh, it was such a beautiful plant. And so I've got some of those safeguarded right now, like legitimately locked in a safe.
Amazing.
You know, and I've had some Granddaddy Purple, some original true GDP that, you know, pretty much ran the mid to late 90s. And I tried to sprout those this year, and I did everything I could and just couldn't get them to pop, so they were non-viable. So I'm pretty sad about that one. That was definitely our go-to strain for about 8 years. There was always some side stuff, but GDP was the staple there through the late 90s and early 2000s before, of course, OG took on everybody.
Matt was also telling me in that episode that Durban Poison's another variety like that. That's like you're saying about Northern Lights, that it is in a lot of different strains.
Now, our friends over at Up North Distribution, they still have access to the original Durban Poison, and they run that. So I know that you can still buy that product directly from them too.
Yeah, they're on the West End campus, I believe.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow. So, when did you first see Bob Weir play?
Oh man, 89, 90. Unfortunately, I'm a Giant fan, but I'm a little bit younger to have caught most of their big years. I graduated in 1993 and directly jumped out on the West Coast stops when I could,
Wow. This is yummy.
Thank you.
This is really tasty.
Shoreline in Sacramento, and went down, caught them.
Shoreline 89?
Yeah, 90.
Okay.
90, 91, and then 93, 94. I graduated in 93. Lived out of the back of a van with a buddy of mine, and we did the damn thing, and and started following him around. Chased him down to Vegas and did the San Boy tours, and
lightning storms almost every show in the afternoon out there.
And then we saw him in a little venue in between Salem and Eugene. Taj Mahal opened up for him. It was just a little outdoor area. It was one of their smaller shows, but it was really intimate, super bitchin', and onward and forward. Still trying to catch as many live shows as time and energy will permit. Or right now, the pandemic has everybody shut down on good classic live music.
Where did you see Bob Weir with the Grateful Dead the first time you saw him then?
Oh yes, yeah.
And that was where?
Absolutely. That one was Sacramento Cal Expo. Yeah.
Flat venue. One of the only flat venues.
And back then, it was still, everything was still, GA, general admission. When Page and Plant did their, I want to say maybe 94 tour, when they did the reunion tour, I followed them up the West Coast as well, and they were the first band I've ever seen that had the floor seats were sold out, because it was the second coming for Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, and I was a huge Zeppelin fan as well, and so we followed them from LA up, and they were at the old Forum, and I was pretty diehard into the classic rock scene, the blues scene for a teenager. That was kind of a rare thing back then. Everybody was either into and I dug the punk, but everybody was either full on into the big hair or kind of going into the grunge, and I think I was probably one of the only kids my age that dug the blues, the classic blues, actually back to where I'd have, Robert Johnson albums, that kind of thing. Nobody my age was listening to Robert Johnson back then. But I got a kind of an interesting story with the Led Zeppelin, the Page and Plant tour. I had a license plate at the time that was number one Zepp fan, and I know Jimmy Page collects things from his fans. And he designs a lot of his albums and such to be collectibles. He's also a rock and roll memorabilia collector himself. And so I took my license plate off. We knew we had these tickets in advance to go down to see him at the Forum in LA. That was the first show on the West Coast. And wrote all my information on the back, and my goal was throw this thing on stage. It was going to end up in Jimmy Page's collection, and who knows, maybe they'd send me a signed album or something, something crazy like that, whatever. Right. So we get down to the Forum, and me and a buddy are down there, and this is before we knew that it wasn't general admission. And ate some mushrooms, got some psychedelics going, and went inside, and they parked us way up top. I mean, we had the nosebleed seats, and we were so far off the stage, and the whole floor was seats, and I just couldn't believe it. It just blew me away. And so as soon as the lights went off, I told my buddy, I can't do this, man. I got a goal. And I grabbed my license plate, had it tucked under my arm, jumped down onto the floor, got chased by 2 big security guards, ran into the seats,
Beeline.
climbed over some shoulders, made it to
I'm
second
invisible,
row,
I am
dead
invisible,
center.
I am invisible.
Oh yeah, well I was little. I was
Right.
like 140 pounds or something. I was a little guy, and I just jammed.
Right.
So that, there I am. I'm probably 18 years old, young Zeppelin fan, just working my way through the crowd, trying to outrun security. Got my #1 Zepp plate, license plate underneath my arm. Make it to the second row, dead center. This bank corporation had bought like 10 seats, and a bunch of people didn't show up, and they're dead center. So, I'm a young kid. I'm telling them my story. I'm showing them my license plate. They kind of adopt me into their group. So I get to watch the entire show, front row. It's just awesome. Just awesome. And, I'm telling them my idea about how Jimmy Page collects things from his fans. I'm going to throw my license plate on stage. It's going to make it in his collection. Life's going to be wonderful. And they went off stage, and they came back and did their encore, and it was a two-level stage.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought out the whole LA Philharmonic to play Kashmir. So they had all the strings and everybody in the back up on a second stage. Jimmy Page comes out with his bow, and they're getting into Kashmir, and I just, I'm feeling the mushrooms, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling groovy. I'm like, this is my moment to shine. And I take my license plate and I wing it up there, and a license plate takes off like a frisbee, and it takes off fast, and it skimmed right over the top of Jimmy Page's head, and it hit this poor elderly lady on the violin in the throat so hard she dropped her violin. The guy next to her quit playing violin. I took out 2 violinists out of their encore with 1 throw, and I had an ocean of security coming back over the front rail at me now, and I went from this just glorious rock and roll moment to the outcast, and I had to turn and run, and talk about a buzzkill. I mean, that will mess up a mushroom high. And I got away, and I never got arrested, so she must have made it.
He better have that license plate.
No, man. And then, I was backpacking Central America a few years ago and ran into Jimmy Page in a tiny little surf town. And I mean, not Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, I'm sorry. And but he was on vacation, and the locals didn't know who he was. He was just flip-flopping around, and he was with a girl, and I wanted to really tell him that story. And I said, hey Robert, and he kind of gave me the pump the brakes, and he was on vacation, so I didn't want to bug him, so I just left it at that. But I definitely would have liked to have reminisced that and see what foul things he had to say about me.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Wow, that's a wild one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was nothing like things that would occur with music, those shows that occurred that we saw. I know we saw a lot of the same shows together, that just not knowing one another, but have had the same type of similar situations. You've met Bob as well?
Yes,
I saw a good picture of you today with him posted on Instagram for his birthday.
Wonderful guy. Absolutely. Very, very humble, very down to earth, very easygoing, and wise in his mysterious ways all along.
Well, yes, and he always says things so invertedly or elegantly stated differently. I don't know quite how to explain it other than he's got kind of a dyslexic way of communicating. He's got an unpredictable reply anytime that he's spoken to, it seems to me. I've met him, the first time I met him was in Long Beach in, I think, 89 as well. No, it might have been prior to that, but I think it was in that era. And we went through some glass doors together. At the same time he was coming through, and I stuck out my hand and I said, how about one for a dream, Bob? And he shook my hand, and I think I said, I love you. And he said, same to you. But nice, that's what I mean. He would always reply, same to you. And then he signed my guitar at one point when he played at the Eureka Municipal Auditorium. And it's always kind of I get that tongue-twisted, star-stricken, difficult ability to communicate with him.
Yet he's just just a down to earth Northern California boy. You know what I mean? Like as are a lot of them. And,
Yeah, I know, and I love that he is in touch with the real world and the community and help to. I don't think Sweetwater is actually his, but I think that his support brought the Sweetwater back. I know a number of years ago.
It's very hard to keep a venue open, and right now, I mean, with what's going on, musicians and venues, they're having a really hard time out there.
I bet it's a shame to think of the situations that they must be facing. All the sound people, all the waitresses, and
absolutely
bartenders, and so on and so forth.
There's an entourage to making things happen. That's not just what you see on stage, and they're all hurting. Absolutely. I mean, they make their living, on the road, and there is no on the road right now, and we're all missing that. I think everybody's ready for some live music.
Yeah, let's
in their
talk
life.
about the current live music situation, because it is both Bob Weir and John Mayer's birthday. John's turning 43 and Bobby's 73. And I think that's quite ironic. I think Shemente and Brent Midland also share the same birthday.
Okay.
So that's quite coincidental. There's been something that has obviously been in the stars with the current Dead and Company lineup. We were speaking a little bit earlier today about the apprehension that Mayer faced coming into the lead guitar position.
But he also bridged the gap between generations. I mean, the music's spanned generations in time. I mean, it's got a great message that everybody needs to hear in no matter what decade it's played in. But it is that iconic 60s band. That's the roots of it. That's with the counterculture and how they spurred out of that. And so to translate that to a teenager now, or somebody in their early 20s now, they recognize John Mayer over over Bobby. And so John's the intro to the, hey, check out this other world, and then they get into
I know,
the second coming kind of thing.
It's been fascinating. I went the other way. I went from Dead Camp into Mayer World and got a little deep into it in search of everything. The release he did after joining Dead and Company was a soundtrack for me for 2017. It was. I really think that he has had such a grace of humble approach and taken humility in the responsibility of doing what he's doing. And he's also extremely brilliant and clever. His intelligence and his humor, and then also there's an aspect that has been so reverent to what is occurring that he was smart enough to realize, there's not another palette that he could have found to demonstrate his art. So I often recognize, wow, he knew what he was doing as soon as he got onto this and figured out how magic it was, and has really done what it takes to do what they're doing as well as they're doing it. It could have certainly fallen short of what it's become.
Yep, absolutely. Very, very big shoes to fill, and very high expectations from the fan base, and I think he sprinkles on his own little magic and makes it awesome. And
Not to mention I like the authenticity of the original members with the Rhythm Devils and Weir.
Yep.
But then you have this triad of youthful vigor and new blood with O'Teal and Jeff Shemente and John. So that's what I think is so dynamic about Dead and Company. It's sacrilege for me to say that sometimes I enjoy their sound as much, if not better, than I did with the Grateful Dead, but that's a testament to their ability. The Shakedown Street I saw at the Gorge in 2016 was my favorite Shakedown Street I've ever seen. And that was the first song I ever saw at UCLA Pauley Pavilion in '82. And
Is that your first shows in '82?
yeah, yeah. And so, since there was always a succession to the weekends or the venues, that accumulated to quite a few. Not exactly what the count is, but it was enough to know it well enough to, not need to go watch the stage show. I could go in the back and dance with all my friends and know exactly the facial expressions that were occurring on stage, and have incorporated it into my own musical ability, and I'm very humble about that. But that's something that's a little bit dormant, but will soon to be resurrected. And
Nice.
I'd like to be doing some of the Weir material that's not being played. I do enjoy playing Bob Weir's music, and some of my favorite stuff is Kingfish, and that country twang cowboy stuff. Did you enjoy his recent release that they did, what was it, Blue Mountain? That's not correct, is it? What was the name of the album that they just did with all of the cowboy stuff? But anyway,
I haven't seen it.
Album correct, but that release.
Welcome to Northern Berry.
Very good. Let's see. I'll figure out what it is. What's your favorite Bob Weir stuff?
Man, he's so diverse. It's just, when you're in the mood to listen to the Dead, it's pretty much what's on. It really is.
And
It's like
sometimes
what's on. It's
it doesn't even really matter what song it is. Sometimes it seems.
well, they're
like.
all. I mean, you can go from
Blue Mountain,
Sailor Mountains.
What was I saying?
Yeah, you're saying Blue Mountain.
Okay.
And that's all country ballads.
Pretty much. It's a lot of old tunes that he learned out as a youth in Wyoming when he was doing the John Barlow thing, and actually they went to school together, some sort of parochial, or I don't know, some type of private schooling that Barlow and Weir met at. But of course, Barlow was the cowboy, and
Paying a little homage.
yeah, so there was a bunch of stuff that he learned from back then that he did a great release of. If you haven't heard it, you'll really enjoy it when you do. But did you ever see Rat Dog?
No, never got it.
What about? Did you see Further?
Nope, I didn't see Further or Rat Dog.
Interesting, because I didn't see a lot. I saw Further one time. Rat Dog I'd always miss, and it was there were some seasons and some tours that Steve Kmar played with Rat Dog. So you had my two favorite guitar heroes playing together, and I'm glad that they've collaborated as much as they have.
Yeah, the mid 2000s there was a lot of work in my life. I was definitely clocked in quite a bit, so it was really hard to get away from anything. I was in that rat race. I was doing the old grind, the old slave to the system, and so I missed a lot. I was in the backcountry the least amount that I've ever been. I wasn't skiing like I should have been. I wasn't backpacking like I should have been. I wasn't enjoying time with friends and family like I should have been. I wasn't catching live music like I should have been. And I think a lot of that kind of propelled me to kind of draw a line in the sand one day and say, I'm just going to go back to full-time cannabis. Because cannabis was always there. It was just always on the side. You always maintain a job of some sort, but cannabis was on the side. And I didn't make it a full-time endeavor, to where I just opted out of traditional society to 2010, 2009.
And you've been going full steam ahead since then?
Full steam ahead since then, right through. I mean, I just kept my head down and went hard. And in 2012, I ended up with the cops in my living room and disrupted some things and had to reevaluate and start from scratch again. But when I was 18 years old, I had $100, literally $100 to my name. I grew up poor. I'm used to struggle. I'm used to doing without. I'm used to being minimalist. So being disrupted and having to start from scratch wasn't something completely foreign to me. And it definitely builds resiliency. And cannabis has always prevailed in my life. And look at it now. I mean, you went from hiding and not talking about it and outrunning the helicopters and trying to smuggle your soil at night under tarps and nobody saw you, that kind of thing, to openly discussing the benefits of and why it's such an amazing plant.
Yeah, hearing this is making the story of Full Moon Farms more and more compelling. And what you've told me so far, I want to share with those of you that are viewing. How have you gone about such a dynamic approach of lifestyle branding?
It's completely organic. It's 100% truly organic and grassroots, and it's just doing its own thing. We're putting very, very little thought process into this. Our group, our tribe, most of them are family members, and if they're not actual blood family, they might as well be. We've known, if we're not, growing weed together, especially back in the day, we were ski bums together. We'd all, rent a house and pile in on couches and ski every day, or, go backpacking together, whatever, and it's very outside of cannabis. Everybody's very close. Our parents were close, our family's been here in California since 1852, so 7 generations. We've had everything from miners to moonshiners and marijuana growers and everything in between, and very all truly Northern California roots. Very blue collar, very humble, very hardworking. Nobody in our family's ever had anything passed down to them. Everybody's had to get up out of bed and go to work. And in our lifestyle, I think everybody on the farm has their own interests, but we all have similar interests. So everybody's independent interests come out, especially in our like Instagram, because it's not one person's content; it's everybody's content. They just give it to me, and I just pick and choose and slap some stuff on the wall, and it's something usually appeals to somebody else. There's enough there to keep people interested, and it's real, it's genuine. We're not like hiring models or an Instagram manager or anything like that. We're not paying for followers. We still got banned for 8 months. We just came off of a shadow ban. So
really,
we were seeing like 50 to 100 followers a day that were not being counted. We talked to friends. Our content was being blocked for whatever reason. They took us off last week, and we jumped 1,000 in like 5-6 days, and it was just really kind of mind blowing. It's like it's all algorithms, And we're not out there actually just chasing those numbers. It's actually the connection with people, because every single person, people out there in Instagram land know that anybody that DMs me, I will get to them eventually. I will respond as fast as I can, no matter what I'm doing. If it's a 12-hour day, I'll try to respond and have a conversation with that person.
That's so rare. It's so genuine of you to do that. That's actually like the deadhead heart and kind soul that we all learn so well from our roots. But I think that there's such a testimony to that. Like, your generosity is beyond comparison. The first time I requested one of those neat hats, who makes those shoreline, the picture of the
So that was an in-house artist with Lotus Mountain.
Yeah.
And we just did 100 caps. We did a limited release.
Oh my goodness.
We're working on another one right now, and we're almost finalized on the new design. But that's the Lost Coast hat, and and if you look on the back, there's an actual pot plant there in full bloom, and it was a landrace seed plant that we got from Ethiopia through Nat at Humboldt Seed Company. Again, it was called Blue Nile, and we had one big beautiful Blue Nile plant, and we took a picture of it and gave it to the artist, and he had it on the back of the hat. So most of that is just a kind of a cartoonish rendition, but the pot plant's actually legit. Yeah. So yeah, that's our kind of shout out to the Lost Coast of California, and especially Humboldt County, but it's kind of hard to see. But that was a landrace Blue Nile plant that we grew maybe 2015, 16.
Wow. And thanks. So anyway, I asked for one of these because I saw it on Insta, and I'm like, hello, holla, what's up with those? And you went and not only sent me the cap, told me that I could have one, and now finding out that there's only 100 of those. You added this hat and 2 shirts and a hoodie.
The cork hats are great for fishing, man. You can hang your flies on there, you know.
I love it. You brought me a whole box of stuff today. I can't even believe. Tell me now while I'm showing how lovely this merchandise is. Tell me.
That. I mean, you got to go with the classic Steely. I mean, that's just
And tell me what you were saying about getting this clothing thing going. That it was.
Well, everybody else kind of got the clothing thing going, the merchandise thing up and running. You know, we just originally did this, you know, for a little bit of farm pride for the crew and the family, because we were living in the shadows and under threat of arrest for so long, and then legalization came around. We had this like identity that we could be proud of, and so a lot of this was, you know, like, hey, you know, we made it through the years of the war on drugs. We took some hits and came out for better from it. I think some of my best lessons were after my raid. So, you know, we got this merch going, and people started asking for it. How do I buy this? And, you know, I'd send people stuff, and, you know, it kind of started spreading. And I was like, well, let's do this for a good cause. Let's do this for charity. So, you know, 100% of all the proceeds will go to local or you know, pertinent charities. You know, a lot of the volunteer fire departments, community centers, obviously, you know, elderly health, some of the bigger charities out there, you know, PAL, Protect Our Winters, you know, Jeremy Jones and all he's doing for the environment, the Rex Foundation, of course, with the Grateful Dead, you know. So sometimes people hit me up, and just kind of depending on the mood I'm in, I'll just be like, donate to a no-kill shelter or the Rex Foundation, show me a receipt, you got a box coming, and they do, and I send it.
That was the thing. You spent like $15 on a box of postage just to look at this stuff, you guys.
But it's feel good. We want it to be, you know,
donate.
It's not all organic cotton. We shoot for organic cotton, hemps, bamboos,
This
things
is
like
amazing,
that. But
Nick, oh my God, look how soft this is.
yeah, we want comfort. We want people to feel good about wearing it.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you, man. But
Thank
also
you.
have a feel good purchase. You know, knowing that, you know, it's not something that we're striving to market
It's
to
like
make
Christmas.
money off of. It's more of like promoting the giving spirit. You know, trying to, you know, spark that in people. Like, now more than ever, maybe we should be giving back, even if it's only $5 or $20 or whatever you can do, and it goes a long ways for somebody else, and that's huge. And the
Wow.
cannabis community, you know, it's in a position to lead by example. You know, we don't have to have this whole cannabis industry and follow the same typical corporate model. You know, and that was one of the big things that we talked about on the farm in 2016 when legalization was coming around the corner. We didn't know what to expect, and obviously in that first year especially was extremely hard. You know, 2017 wasn't that much easier, but everything was very expensive. They came at us pretty hard and heavy with, you know, unforeseen fines and permitting fees and you know, licensing that and inspection this and mitigate this, and it just was really overwhelming to most people, you know, including us. And this the whole clothing thing, you know, it it felt good, and we wanted to take our farm, whether it made it or not, down a different path, and just say, okay, it's not about the profit, you know, it's about the people and the plant and the planet, and, you know, as long as we can keep up this lifestyle, nobody's trying to get rich. As long as we can keep living, doing what we do, and we do things pretty simple, you know, and just be together, because a lot of people have been around for, you know, 10 plus years, and I really take that seriously, and, you know, them, you know, feeding their families, that we take that seriously, and so that's the number one goal, is to keep the tribe together. You know,
the greater good.
Yeah, the greater good, for sure.
It's something that excites me so much, because I see people doing it, and that's what I've wanted to be a part of, and that's where I'm getting the responses to encourage me to want to build bridges or be creating hubs where collaboration can occur that hasn't occurred yet, where I know that I've yet to see connections happen that are going to happen, and I see leaders in the community that are doing things such as you are. I think that I talk over and over again about Chris Anderson at Redwood Roots family, because those are the examples of the people that are praising the ganja warriors, and that are yeah, I like he posts. You see that early in the morning. He'll be up on a ridge at sunrise.
Oh, he's up early.
Shout outs.
No, he's doing his thing. He's grinding hard. He always has. You know, he's always been. He was giving back to the community before before giving was cool. You know, so to speak. You know, as far as from a lot of the cannabis community, he's a real genuine soul. And you know, I always say if you surround yourself by good people or with good people, you know, good things will happen.
I agree.
And he's good people for sure. He absolutely is, man. He's really looking out for Southern Humboldt and the greater, you know, message of craft farming and its nuances, and why there should be a craft value association tied to this product that, you know, so many amazing farmers here in the county are putting out there. And you know, I don't think a lot of people realize the amount of energy and work and money that it actually takes. You know, our cost to market per gram is so much higher than a lot of those bigger farms, because of the extra man hours, the extra care, the extra love to grow organic. Organic is not necessarily a cheap method of farming, and to deliver that level of product that you're actually proud of, it takes a lot of due diligence. You're putting your eyes on the prize every day. You know, you're going plant to plant to plant, you know, and you're trying to streamline things and automate the watering, those kind of things. You're not wasting hours with a garden hose in your hand anymore like the old days. You know, you're actually being proactive and doing pest control and that kind of thing, you know. And you know, there's a lot of backstories, but there's also a lot of methodologies that, you know, need to be expressed and educated out there to the masses so they understand why the product is different. You know, even down Mendocino, Trinity, there's a lot of great cannabis in this area for a reason.
I liked what you were telling me about the craft cannabis and the vision that was explained to you just prior to the legalization and compliance, and what you were telling me about it not exactly going that direction. Is there
right out of the gates? No, you know, so you know, I think, you know, everybody's name association, and rightly so, with Humboldt County is, you know, better quality cannabis, and there was a lot of people trying to capture those stories on earlier on, and I think they saw the value in the Craft Value Association and the name with the product, but the market response was different than what people had hoped. Right out of the gates, you know, there was this big flood of legal weed, and it was kind of a novelty to get this little cookie cutter lab result sheet where you didn't understand a damn thing on there except THC, and as long as that number was high and you were paying as low as you could, that's where people were kind of going this first couple of years, you know. And I'm sure the majority of cannabis sold in the United States when it goes federally legal will be that, you know, domestic beer. You can compare it to domestic beer to craft beer. You know, it's like a 80-20, you know, ratio nationwide, maybe not even that high in some states. And so the first couple of years, all weed was kind of thrown into that bulk market. You know, there was no value association to the craft, and you know, prices plummeted. I mean, I remember, you know, offers as low as $700-800 for some AAA, and wow. You know, and it was just because the customer base at the dispensary level wanted, you know, cheap ounces, and they wanted as high as they possibly could get on the THC percentages, which we all know, you know, there's extremely low THC strains like the, you know, notoriously the creme brulee, which can come in at 12% THC, but the entourage effect, because all the terpenes, you know, sends you off the charts.
A little bit.
So
like
yeah, people aren't understanding.
Fruit.
They're just getting into the, you know, terpene education, that kind of thing, and why there's other enhancements, you know, to your experience with cannabis that's not just the THC percentage. And so that, the education's coming, that it's coming back. I think brands are starting to notice that, okay, that AAA market, people are getting a little pickier, they're getting a little wiser. So there is going to be some separation coming, and I've got a lot of hope in that. Along with the creme brulee, so we only have so much dry room space, so we actually plant around our harvest cycles, and
Right.
we have specific strains that we know we can get out in late September, early to mid October, and then the late October. So you have three cycles to your wave, and then if there's some anomaly plants out there that just come as independent scabs down the road, they do. But we have like a wave of 3 main harvests, and Northern Berry's in our first one, and
I couldn't believe the photographs I saw of it, and the dark photos that you're taking at night are so really gorgeous. They're so the purple.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I posted that photo of the Northern Berry in my story as well. And I've appreciated you allowing me to follow along and highlight and showcase what you're doing there. I want to come out next season and do a farm tour, and I think it'd be very interesting to catalog a season and to show I'm going to find some place to do a time lapse of sorts of a whole season. It'd be really interesting to. I really want to help remain having culture. I want to be a part of helping culture remain affluent and the heritage of the ganja growers to stay a part of the industry. There's so many people that you'll see,
Yeah, and there's some things, with the culture of cannabis locally that we just can't get back. And time changes everything. If you don't adapt, you perish. And and it's sad to see, but all things that you're used to can't stay the same, and you got to find the better today in today. And I definitely miss the old school cannabis scene when you just grew a lot less. It was a lot less work. You weren't a criminal, but you were a bit of an outlaw, and there was a network of that outlaw spirit that ran through the county, and you didn't always share information freely like we do today, but you kind of knew who was who, and and if somebody had a few extra plants on the side, and then you'd see each other again at like Reggae on the River or the Redwood Run or something like that, and and just things like that were just very community driven. Back then it was you didn't have all these outsiders coming to grow here, and that's to be expected.
So
that's
there's
part
a
of the
little
new
bit
culture.
of dissipation with.
There's definitely dissipation. A lot of the true back to landers, the mom and pops that were never out there trying to strive for everything under the stars and like things and ownership. They kept it simple, and they grew their own vegetables, and they grew some weed on the side, and then legalization came along, and they weren't big enough to survive the hurdles, or they're struggling to right now. And that's really sad, because you have a lot of really classic, amazing farmers out there producing great weed, and a lot of them have those genetics that we're going to lose, and the stories that we're going to lose. And they're getting replaced by people that are willing to overpay for their property, and they're just they're fed up and tapping out, and that's hard, because now we're just how it is now. We're importing from everywhere, and it kind of started with the original migrant trimmers from the East Coast. Pretty soon you started seeing Colorado and Vermont plates hanging out a little bit more than just trim season. They got wise to what was going on and wanted to hang out, and it's a great vibe. Why not? Humboldt County's a magnet. But it's just adapting to those cultural shifts, and what's going on. What's our identity now, and where's our identity going to be, and how do you not have Humboldt be just one giant corporate, basically shit show?
Yeah, and I'm really glad that you addressed the differences from the way it's always been and the way that it is now. I think that you are leading by example, and I hope that other people will also, take that high path that you see the Cup award-winning cannabis coming from, and how did you get to a point that you've got your logo on parasails and are jumping off of cliffs?
We have a pretty extreme group. Everybody, they're pretty badasses in the backcountry doing whatever, you know what I mean? And you know, what you're talking about with the free skier, you know, he was actually a friend of Craig down at Alpenglow. And Craig said, you know, check this guy out, and Will. And he's out of Idaho. And we started up just right here on social media, and became friends. And we're, you know, just the same as the Grateful Dead. The music, you know, can be an attachment. The Great Outdoors is an attachment with him. And he's got a lot of similar circles, and we started seeing, you know, sometimes these worlds are a lot smaller than you think, and we just started kind of collaborating a little bit, and he's got some great people lined up for some true professional, you know, class 5 big whitewater kayaking, and
Wow.
we got some South Tahoe boys on rocks, and we got mountain bikers and you know, skiers, and it's just, and we're, you know, trying to promote that whole healthy lifestyle, because we really genuinely get out there and love doing those things. And you know, it's not, again, you know, it comes back down to find experiences, not things in life, and it makes your soul happier. So we love getting out there together and doing just, you know, cool stuff together, and we try to promote that. And that's just genuinely us saying, hey, get out there and do something fun, you know. And it's just, you know, kind of snowballing that a whole different direction there too. I don't know. I don't know where any of it's going.
Well,
I just
since I've been following you, I've
yeah.
seen you out on ski trips. And is that your new child?
I do. He's almost 4 months now. Caden Kaling. Yeah. And,
Congratulations.
awesome. He's been a great kid, and yeah, just feeling really blessed.
Your first?
My first. I'm 45 years old and started late in life, and you know, it was a little unexpected, and absolutely embraced. Like, he's my new best friend. I can't wait to get him out there on skis and just start teaching him the ways.
Oh, mad props.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Like, you know, I want to talk about things again with you to further expound upon, you know, the industry and the directions it's going, and what things, you know, will be prevalent at the time. I hope that we can have a rapport where I can come out and tour the farm still, and I
100%.
appreciated that offer so greatly. I'm just trying to get this off the ground. I did have another great farm tour, and I'm just getting started with the video skills, but that's how I'm going to develop them. And I think that having the intent that a company such as yourself and the other lifestyle branding businesses that I see thriving, I just feel like, yeah, everybody working in that direction is going to be how we can show it be different than other corporate industries. And so
100%. It can do its own thing. It doesn't have to follow those standard models. You know, and again, I really believe this. You know, cannabis people, they can see through bullshit, and you know, when something's canned and presented to you like a canned event or a canned, you know, project or a product, and you know, people can see through that, and you know, we're looking for those people. You know, we want genuine connections. We want them to genuinely, you know, enjoy the gear or smoke. You know, if and have a great effect. And even if it's not the THC stuff, you know, get onto the CBD and the compassionate care into things. And, you know, if you're feeling better because of cannabis, wonderful. You know, I mean, this needs to be talked about too. We're seeing a lot of people that grew up anti-cannabis that now are seeing somebody that they love that's close to them, or themselves, that are dealing with issues, you know, cancer, PTSD, whatever it be, seizures, and somebody gets healed because of cannabis, and they're completely off of pharmaceuticals, which pharmaceutical companies hate because it's, you know, going right after their bottom line. But people are actually seeing really positive results, life-changing results from cannabis, and you know, that's an angle that's not being talked about hardly at all. You know, out there on social media, you know, there's links here and there, you know, for the research that's going on. You know, I definitely feel like there's a big shoe on that research right now, holding it down. And possibly till things get patented behind the closed doors and that type of thing. But you got to give big props to Israel. They're working in conjunction with their companies over there to really, you know, fast forward medical research with cannabis. And
interesting.
So, yeah, so yay to them. A lot of big stuff's coming from Israel right now. But absolutely, we just love, you know, seeing people get better from cannabis in general, and you know, especially the ones that have had to change their views on it, and it became maybe like a last resort, maybe even a desperation move, and now they're embracing it and they're still here. you know.
Wow, it's just inspiring. Thank you so much, Nick, for sharing with us your vision and your medicine and your positive contributions. Let me give you a couple of things for your generosity. I have here a sticker of Saint Robert of Marin.
Oh yes.
You might want to find a Catholic candle for this.
Oh my gosh. This is. There you go, Bobby.
And then take a photograph
I love
too
this.
of
I
Bob
love
in
this.
his honor
I
back
love
with you
this.
to the farm.
I 100% will.
And
When you come to visit us, that's going to be in. If we'll be framed up, we'll have her out there.
nice. And thanks for coming. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, sure.
This is awesome.
Thank you so much for being willing to come talk to me and give homage to Ace. Bobby, happy birthday. Thanks
Happy
for
birthday, boys.
everything. And yeah, definitely, Johnny Mayer, you have influenced my life in the best way very possible. And so until we see one another again,
Let's do it again.
yeah, we definitely
Absolutely.
will. And everybody, stay tuned.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.